Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price predictions. This video is specialized for the indicators analysis, as we do with the deep analysis once per week, of course, after our deep analysis to see how the indicators are working with our deep analysis, of course, and to see how much the possibilities are closer or far from between bullish and bearish, of course, scenarios. And don't forget to support the channel with a like and subscribe for more updates, and leave your comments and questions below. I would be glad to answer it, of course. So starting with the volume here for the indicators, where we can see, of course, our last impulse here for our wave 5 in a diagonal. So we are on the 4-hour chart here, and we are looking to our bullish pattern, which is unfolding towards the upside, whether it is in 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and then 3 towards the upside, 4, 5, very possible, or if it is a finished diagonal with 5 waves towards the upside. Now looking inside this wave, of course, as you can see that we can count already an impulse as well here, or even with this one here, or even as well in this one we can count as well an impulse. Therefore we have here a structure of a diagonal with 5, 3, 5, 3, and one more wave with 5. And that means that you want to see in this wave here total of 5 waves, of course. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, is our wave 5 finished? This is a question now that we are looking forward to solve, because, of course, on the 1-hour chart, it looks a much more finished structure, while on the 4-hour chart, it looks just as 3 waves. However, we're gonna move here on the 1-hour chart to see exactly what happened inside it. So you can see clearly that we have almost finished a 1, a 2, and then a wave 3, 4, and then 5. So therefore we can count that this is a finished impulse because we did not even reach the wave 1 zone with our wave 4 here as ABC. And after this, we are looking for an ABC correction. Now, it look, of course, because we are in weekend, it's gonna range slowly. However, this looks like almost a finished correction, and we're gonna see what we're gonna get in the next days. Of course, in this weekend, I mean, it is very rare to see some movement for the price in the weekend, like really strong movements. However, sometimes it might alternate. Sometimes it is a very, very volatile during the weekends, but it is very rare, almost. So on the daily here, on the 1 hour, we can see in our volume that regarding this wave, this finished impulse potentially, where we are looking at a very high amount of volume here, of course, for your wave 3, where you can see, of course, your wave 3 has reached a very high amount of volume. That means, of course, your wave 3 is over here and not somewhere else, of course, during this impulse. And after this, what you would like to see, of course, is a lower volume, as we see, and then a very high amount of volume again for your wave 5. However, it should not pass your wave 3 volume, and this is exactly a signal that we have finished exactly our wave 5 in this wave here. And now that give us a confirmation that we have finished this wave 5 towards the upside, and on the 4-hour chart we can even call it as a finished wave 5 towards the upside. And by all means, now you have totally finished a structure here. And as we saw in our deep analysis, you can of course go back to it to know much better what are the details of these scenarios. We might have finished a structure here as a diagonal because we have finished, of course, the structure, and many scenarios might unfold now starting from this point. So you can of course check again the analysis, the deep analysis, and you get much more detail about it. So what we are looking now on the next indicator, which is gonna be the RSI, what we're gonna see is some divergences for the RSI that we have found here on the 4-hour chart. We can see that we have one divergence here in the top, which is also confirming a bearish scenario that it might start to unfold. As you can see, this is a lower high and this is a higher high. If you look at it here on the RSI, you see a higher high for here and then a lower high. Therefore, this is a very, very clear divergence, as you can see here, that it might, of course, give us some lower prices. Now, how much deep it can be, we're gonna, of course, check how it should be. However, you probably want at least your RSI to reach this point here, where we can see this low, of course, which is here as well in the prices. So we might, of course, dive a little bit deeper, and if you are bearish, you want, of course, to dive a little bit even deeper, of course, if you are bearish, because this might unfold, by the way, as an impulse, and then we might see 3 waves corrective towards the downside. If you remember, at least if we are having a 1-2 here as a triple 1-2, so rather than diagonal, we might have 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and your wave 2 here is a little bit short and short-term bearish, so possible, everything is possible. So, and if we are a big diagonal here, our wave 2, of course, should be very, very deep. So these are bearish signal on the 4-hour chart. On the weekly chart, we can see another signal where we can, of course, look at here, where we can see a in the weekly. Here you can see, of course, our weekly signal where we can see a lower low and then a higher low, while on your RSI you can see a higher low and then a lower low. And this also creates a bullish divergence, right, which is contradicting now with our bearish divergence that it has started in the top here on the 4-hour chart. However, this is a weekly signal, and that means it's a very, very strong signal for a bullish. So it is not, of course, simple to break it even with the 4-hour chart. And by all means, here on the weekly, of course, we might see a small, maybe drop for a small wave 2, and then continuation towards the upside. This is a little bit higher possibility based on the RSI here, where we can see also on the 1-hour chart. We can see that this correction is not really a deep starting. And so far it looks like just 3 waves, and we don't see yet any 5 waves towards the downside. If we see 5 waves towards the downside and then 3 waves up, then we might, of course, look for a very, very deep impulse towards the downside as a wave A, and of course correction, and then 5 waves down again to finish this correction. So this is the RSI. The RSI is telling us, of course, on the 4-hour chart, we might be bearish short term, but on the weekly we are still a very strong bullish signal on the RSI, which it did not finish yet. Of course, I mean the effect of the signal did not finish yet. So here are the RSI. Now the next indicator is, of course, the MACD here. The MACD. On the MACD, of course, we see some nice signals for the weekly, which is the most important, where you can see on the weekly chart here a little bit the start of a green candle, right? And this is what you would like to see in a very high bullish scenario, where you want to see, of course, a very high prices in the next week. So it might be that, of course, it could be a very nice signal that we are going up, especially that the trend lines are forming the bullish cross here towards the upside, and playing here as a resistance, here as the zero is playing as a support, sorry, not resistance. However, let's take a look a little bit deeper inside the 1 hour chart. Of course, the 1 hour chart, we are looking, of course, almost for a finished red volume here, so it might start to go up. It is not, of course, like mandatory that it goes up. It can even resist here and then move down again with a very low amount of buyers here. However, the signals look, very, very sharp, very looking towards the downside. It did not close yet to each other, so it might, of course, touch the zero, and probably it might dive inside the zero. And if it does here, so you have to expect, of course, a lower volume of, a higher volume of sellers, where the volume here might go a little bit green and then continue very high towards the downside. So, of course, to be watched the 1 hour chart, be careful with it. On the 4 hour chart, yes, of course. This is a very clear signal on the MACD, where we see, of course, a high trend here coming from a very high top. As you might see, for the even higher than the previous, almost, very high. So it is very likely that we dive, of course, deeper a little bit here and get a 4 hour chart a little bit deeper, of course, to finish a wave 2 here, whether we are 1, 2. And if we go deeper, then of course it might be a bigger wave 2. So you might here have, of course, a higher volume for your correction, and then move deeper again for your wave C in A, B, and a C. So everything is possible. Of course, this is, of course, a prediction, guys. It's not 100% that it might work like I draw it or as I predicted, but here it is definitely that there is something very strong going on, and that we might still see a very strong trend towards the downside. So be careful with it, of course, and trade safe with it. So this is the MACD. On the daily for the MACD, we even start to see some signal here that the volume is going lighter. Now, of course, it is a weekend. Don't forget that it should go a little bit lighter because the market is slow. However, it still can be a signal that we might start to reverse from here. Don't forget that a lighter color might be a reversal signal. It is not necessarily, of course, to dive deeper. It can even start to go up again only once you get finished with your wave 2 and move with a higher volume. And of course, keep your trend towards the upside, since it just went up here and it played as a support. So everything is possible here. It looks like it works all together. I mean, here the MACD and the RSI are working together perfectly. They show, of course, 1 hour, 4 hour chart, a bearish scenario where we might have a wave 2 for, of course, I mean, it can be a small, it can be a big one. So we're gonna have to walk with this step by step. It depends, guys, on how much volatile, how much strong this impulse it is, and of course on the data that we get after it. So if we get a wave 2 here, like a zigzag, and we get ABC, then of course in this case scenario, if you see ABC here, just 3 waves, then of course you are expecting 1 more wave towards the downside. Because of course we need to see 5 waves, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course 3 waves towards the downside, and then move up. So if you don't see a 5 waves here, then therefore, of course, and there is no continuation towards the upside, and we might dive deeper. So of course we gonna follow this during the next week and see how it works, also with our scenarios in the deep analysis. So these are the MACD. Another indicator I would like to show is a very, very nice to see always. which is the Bollinger Bands. I like the Bollinger Bands because it shows sometimes some really nice potential, where we can see, yes, definitely on the daily chart we already hit this several times, of course. Yeah, we have stretched it even a little bit, so it might, of course, go a little bit down, maybe even test your blue line. And as you can see, that's why I like the Bollinger Band, because it shows you a potential of your wave 2 where it might hit in case we are a wave 2. And in case you are a bigger wave 2 for your diagonal here as 1, 2, your wave 2 might, of course, meet with this Bollinger Band lower 1, of course. So that is really nice to see. Of course, it might go a little bit deeper. We need to touch the fib levels, the green box as usual that we add for our wave 2. So yeah, it's nice to see this on the daily chart, of course, that it shows us at least some information what it might happen. Now, of course, it's not necessarily that this exactly happens. It might even goes a little bit deeper, because don't forget that if this is a 11112, your 111, your wave 2 might be very shallow, guys. It might not go deep as the previous one, because as you can see, it should go in this direction. So it might be very shallow and then move towards the upside. Yeah, so we're gonna see, of course, it's not necessarily to touch the middle lines. This is what I want to say. On the 4-hour chart, let's take a look as well. Of course, we have start already to retrace from the upper line, and we might meet this as a support. Yeah, we might also dive deeper a little bit for this here, and then it might here it might here start to unfold something. If we see one more wave down and it start to stretch this Bollinger Band, then therefore you are, of course, you have finished wave A, and then you are looking for wave B, 3 waves towards the upside, and then move, of course, down. We're gonna see how these things can happen, but on the daily chart, of course, it is much more clearer for us to see what's going on for the Bollinger Band. Really, it's dividing your waves, your bearish waves, between midline and between the lower line here as a wave 2. So it's nice to see this. Yeah, these are the analysis for the indicator in Bollinger Band. Now, of course, the last confirming indicator, of course, that it is my own indicator that I have developed by myself. Of course, this indicator calculate per second, of course, the highest amount of sellers and the highest amount of buyers, and it shows, of course, the results in a signal here under the candle, and it shows it, of course, directly per second. So as you can see now on the daily chart, I use it mostly for the daily chart and 4-hour charts, because I just use it as a confirmation for my Elliott wave analysis. By all means, if I have a finished structure here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would like to see a very strong bearish scenario, bearish signal. And this is exactly what we got. Of course, this is the strongest now since your wave 4 has been unfolding, right? So yeah, you might see such a signal, but that doesn't mean that, of course, that it cannot be broken. Okay, so of course there is a very hard resistance. We already saw it in our deep analysis that there is a very strong resistance here and a very, very high amount of sellers, which is, this is, of course, indicator shows it as well. But don't forget that also market can change per minute. All right, so psychology here that it enters with this bullish scenario, of course, it might change this and it might break it. By all means, if you go back as well with the history here, you can see that with this impulse, it has started, of course, with a very, very strong amount of buyers, right? And after that, we have started to look for higher prices. However, look at the sellers. Yeah, the sellers entering, of course, the whole time. However, the buyers were still stronger. And of course, they could stop it somewhere here for your wave 1, finished wave 1, then A, B, C as wave 2, because of course it is a very high amount of sellers. And then of course it has continued to move up because new buyers has entered. However, more sellers were entering exactly here after having this very long one. But it doesn't mean that it will be very bearish. It was, of course, a little bit corrective, right? But then the buyers has broke it. And here we go. Correction, of course, after a lot of sellers, but it didn't dive deeper, right? So it gives you that a confirmation or a signal that a wave has finished. Okay, where you are looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you have finished your wave 5, and it gives you a signal for it, right? And then of course you see a little bit of correction because even the buyers were very strong in this bullish scenario. Of course, even they broke it to the top, and of course we have finished again our structure here, where you are looking, of course, for A, B, and a C towards the downside. And yeah, of course, this is your ABC, and then the same was happening. As you can see, the trend is going up while a lot of sellers try to stop it until they succeed, right? Until they succeed here on the wave 3. And therefore, I don't use this indicator to say, oh, we are going bearish or bullish. I don't use it like, if I see here a signal, of course, that it is bullish, yeah, of course it goes up, but it doesn't mean that it should work, right? 100%. That is, as I said, per minute, it can just go directly, because if you look on this indicator at the 15-minute chart, you will see that, of course, more buyers are entering more than the sellers on the 15-minute chart, even if you have this on the daily. Therefore, it can change it. So by all means, now here, as you can see, so many signals of bearish, which is indicating here a finished structure. And by all means, you have finished a diagonal here, and we are possibly going for a bigger wave 2 towards the downside, or we have finished a structure as a wave 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is also a wave 1 has finished here, very possibly, and then we move down a little bit and then move up again. So by all means, it's a confirmation that we have topped. This is what I want to say. This indicators, this is what it tells you. You have topped with your Elliott wave analysis as 1, 2, 1, 2 here, or as diagonal. Therefore, you want to start to look towards the downside a little bit, or to be very, very corrective. It doesn't say how much deeper. Okay, you can evaluate how much deeper, because of course it's a very strong signal since your wave 4. If you look in the back scenarios here, you see some finished structure here with signals, right? But they were not strong as these ones here, right? So if we go the strongest, as you can see, these are the strongest ever. So we might have kind of a deep wave towards the downside, probably, guys, because just of the strength of the signal. So that's it for the intraday analysis, and also for the indicator at the same time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments. See you in the next one. Bye bye.